Hi guys, welcome back to 40 Plus and Unfiltered. So today we're going to be talking about something that I've seen online, which I thought is actually a brilliant idea. I think is going to change a lot of things. Right, the other day we talked about the consumerism and the things how we're made to basically buy stuff that is not really fit for purpose. But we're stuck in a constant rut of the companies making us spend money on products that we don't need, products that constantly break, and that kind of thing. And funnily enough, after I've done this video, I had some couple of videos come up on my feed, which made me chuckle a little bit because it's rather strange considering after we just talked about the stuff that we buy being rubbish and all that kind of thing, having those videos come up in my feed was rather amusing. Anyway, you might have seen some of them. You might have heard of the latest craze. It's called No Buy Rebellion. I gotta say, it's amazing. It sounds like it's something very, very empowering. And apparently, this is actually really taking off, like properly like taking off online. And I'm not one of those people that follow any of this nonsense of the latest crazes of anything of any kind, but that sounds like a damn good idea. Basically, they're talking about the consumerism, and basically, rather than feeding the system of us buying stuff we don't actually need, they call it no buy rebellion. So basically people are either stopping buying stuff altogether, or people that are choosing not to buy rubbish shit stuff you don't need and be very careful with the money. I know to some people it's a common sense anyway, but I think in a lot of cases we all fall into category or into the trap of just buying things just because, be it a little phone case or something else. You buy it because it's cheap and you kind of might need it, but you might not really need it. But anyway, nonetheless, it does happen. See, the thing is, they seem to fall in a couple of categories of how people do it, because obviously all our lifestyles are different. And there are some people that totally given up the idea of buying anything at all. And that means that they're not buying houses, not buying cars, not going on holiday, and generally not buying anything. Maybe they try to grow stuff themselves, which I'm trying to do as well. But they're kind of taking it to a whole different level. No consumerism whatsoever, if this is at all possible. If you live somewhere in the middle of nowhere, if you're off grid, then I think it's possible and it's really, really good idea. There are some people that are doing this to basically trying to cut out the rubbish things that you don't need, like a cheap Chinese stuff, like I said, phone cases, just stuff, just the tut that we just buy anyway. And that sounds a little bit more easier accomplished than totally not buying anything. You see, especially if you have children, I cannot totally go on the, on the rebellion thing and say I can't buy anything at all because just won't work. With kids, they do need clothing, they need school uniforms, they need bits and bobs for school, they do genuinely need stuff. But we certainly can be far more selective. And also the people, they actually go as far as the food, totally not buying a food for months or whatever, or 2 or 3, and trying to totally kind of eat your house out to make sure nothing's left before potentially then going and purchasing stuff, which again, not something that I'm prepared to do. As a prepper, I do want to have, stock up of food for an emergency, have a pantry full, and make sure that stays that way. But what it does really interest me is the whole idea of not buying rubbish. As I said, guys, majority of us are probably guilty, not all the time, but once in a while, of just buying stuff. It's like, Halloween for the children, they go and they grab stuff, they pick up nonsense. And all of that nonsense is really expensive. It's just crap. But it's like paper decorations for £5. They're just literally enough for you to hang it once, and then they're just no longer good for next year. Little cushions, little toys, little pumpkins, all of this just total and utter shit that's for sale. I seem to be targeted at our children. I know children don't earn money to pay for the stuff, but if you have kids, you go to a supermarket, they just grab things. They just don't care because they just want it, they just look at it, and that's great. But they bring it home, and they're more likely to play with the box that something came in rather than actually playing with the toy. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware this is how it is. So the whole non-buying rebellion basically is trying to get one over the system. And I'm loving this. I think it's a very good idea. It's going to take a lot of people doing so to get the message. It's similar to what people are trying to do with the supermarkets and try not to go to supermarkets and trying to support local farmers, local shops, that sort of thing. This goes one step further of just totally refusing to fall into the trap of consumerism and just lining the other companies' pockets. See, we're all aware, right? The cost of living crisis, be its majority probably made up by the government and the pretenses of things that are currently happening, but but there are people that can't afford to eat, not because they're not working hard enough, because the prices are constantly going up. Whilst the say people like, or Tesco's themselves make like what, 3 billion a year. I think the Tesco CEO earned like 6.4 million, including the shares and anything, like in the 2024, I believe. So you can imagine those companies make absolute fortune, and their CEOs and loads of other people. Yet a lot of people can't afford to eat or heat their homes. It happens all the time. And again, I get it. Not everybody can fall into the category of not spending because they're already not spending. But in a lot of cases, as I said, a lot of us are able to probably make certain cuts. The point is, right, the idea of starving the system, that's what I think collectively people are trying to do when they're starting this rebellion, not say group, but movement, I think. It's starving the system, starving the company of our money. Because like I said, guys, in the consumerism video, if we don't pay into the system, if we don't give them our money, then they might start thinking twice about actually producing shit, right? They might just actually think, do you know what? People are not going to be buying shit anymore. Let's actually maybe produce a decent quality item once in a while. And anyway, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant that people can do this. I think, again, I will try to commit to no buy rebellion. I don't buy lots of stuff anyway, but we already have to make changes anyway because of the financial situation, which again I enlighten you on my decision on a different video. But genuinely things like thinking twice about going on holiday, which we're going to France like twice or 3 times a year normally, but we're already not planning to do that for a while. It's not little thing, this is rather big things, but some people it will be stopping taking up a new contracts on their phones. There's so many things that we used to do and people still do, which is costing like horrendous amount of money. As I said, guys, be it the upgrading cars that people do, put this on the finances, credit cards, upgrading your phones, all of that is consumerism on a huge scale. Okay, so not everybody does that, right? But a lot of people do. So for us anyway, holidays is going to be, we're not going to be going abroad anymore at the moment. We're going to be finishing the camper and then we're going to be going around locally. It's not totally cutting the consumerism because, well, we'll still be going places and, still buying diesel and doing stuff. But it's going to be very thoughtful to what we do and where we spend the money. And when it comes to the purchases, I'm going to try totally not to buy anything unless it's absolutely necessary. And I mean stuff for my little one. She needs stuff for school, clothing, all the necessities, absolutely. Food, I'm going to be trying to be as, how would you say it, maybe as cautious as possible. I always only buy food on the yellow label, and I told you guys I shared this with you, apart, of course, if it's like fruits and vegetables and things that are like in the tins, whatever stuff that's needed. But I'm going to be trying to be even more scrimpier. I'm going to try and go this way and see what I'm going to be able to save or cut down. I'm going to try and keep a tally of, say, if we go to the shop somewhere and my little wants something, and I say, no, we've got something at home, for example, and I'm going to take a tally, take a note of what it is that I would have potentially given in and bought, be it for myself or for her or for the house, and just write it down. And I want to see, in the end of the month or so, or a few weeks, whatever, to see whether the results are going to be good. Because if you're consciously making the decision not to buy something, I know it's going to be playing on your mind, right? I know it. If you just say, go on Amazon, if you shop on Amazon, you needed something, you just go tick, boom, delivered tomorrow or even today, right? If you say no to yourself, at first, it's going to be hard. Because it's one of those things, when you know you can have something, you want it even more. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be playing on your mind. Is something that, but I want it, or do I? It's going to get us thinking. So hopefully it's going to make it easy enough for us to then, for me to be able to jot it down and see what I wanted or not wanted. And another thing as well, it's quite, I think, popular thing to do, as we spoke to your husband before, is quite into the sort of having the rash decisions of purchasing certain things. And we said about having like a cooling off period. So if you want something, rather than just go and buy it, think about it. Let's maybe leave this 24 days, maybe leave it, maybe leave it 2 days, or in fact, maybe even leave it a week or 2, depending how big of the purchase is. And if you still feel like you really need the item for whatever reason, that's absolutely fine. Then go ahead and buy it because you've thought about it and it's no longer an impulse purchase. But if you've then forgotten about it and thought, do you know what, I don't actually need it, then that's good. And I know I'd done this before myself. I thought I needed something, I ordered it, and then it arrived. And like, do you know what, I don't think I do. I don't actually think I really do need that, because I can make do with something that I have. And you see, like when we talked about the consumerism, there are means and ways. And some of you suggested as well, you treat like not spending part or repairing or mending a bit like a challenge. It's like you're getting one over the companies, which I think is a brilliant idea. See, we tried where possible also to mend or repair things before really going ahead and spending. And one of the good example, or bad example, I don't know, but our coffee machine broke about 6 months ago. It was, I think it was like £399. It served us good. I give it that. It did serve us good. I think we had this for about 6 years. And one day it just stopped. And we'll have coffee, can function without. Anyway, like, okay, so we'll try to repair it. So we've done numerous amount of research online. What's the possible causes of machines not working? We took it apart. We did everything you needed to do. We cleaned it. We spent like pretty much, I think, the whole weekend disassembling, cleaning, assembling, fixing it, and it still didn't work. And that was horrible thing, because we spent all of the weekend doing this, and unfortunately it didn't. So we did have to buy this, but we did give it a damn good try of fixing that. And a good example, and it was literally a few weeks back, washing machine was washing and suddenly started making a really horrible sound, like really bad, so, like something was getting stuck or something, I don't know, and it started to smell a bit. So I'm like, oh, panic stations, turned it off. And generally, like first day, of course, I do started looking for the new washing machines, and God, bloody hell, horrendous pricing on a average washing machine, washing machine, washing machine. The average price in the washing machine, it's like £500-600 upwards. It's absolutely horrendous. It's like, whoa, let's see what could go wrong. So I did a quick search on internet, and it's for the model and the sound, and apparently there's a thingy filter underneath when you pop off the base plate of the washing machine, and then there's a little filter there, which is normally gets skunked up with stuff. So just actually empty the filter kind of thing. So of course there's me trying to get a screwdriver, undo this, and suddenly water start pissing everywhere on the floor. Okay, let's put something underneath. Anyway, to cut the story short, I've got the filter out, right? Or my husband got this out, and you notice there was a bit of plastic, like piece of tag, from the clothing or something, that got stuck in the filter, because behind the filter it was also like a fan or the rotating thingy that was doing the motions and all that. So apparently that got stuck in there, and it was making that horrendous sound. I'm like, surely not. The sound was like the whole washing machine's falling apart, and you're telling me there was the one single little thing that was making that is that tiny little tag that got stuck inside the filter. So there we are, like, yes, we've done it. So we put it back, assembled it, and hey presto, touch wood, it's all working absolutely fine. But we're lucky this was the part where we can actually access that, rather than, disassembling the whole thing, because you can't, like we said before, there's a lot of things you can no longer disassemble because they don't want you to doing this and fixing stuff. They're gluing things, putting weird screws on stuff, so you're not able to do it. This. But that's the whole point, right? Sorry, I digressed again, but I do apologize. But the point is, right, there are ways and means of us saving. So technically, we saved, beat me, I would have just bought a new washing machine. So we saved £500-600 already on that alone. And there'll be loads of other things that will come about that suddenly you will think, okay, maybe I don't need that. I'll give you another example of, say, obviously I'm doing a lot of recording, the videos, editing, and it's like I need some tripods and I needed some lighting. And you think, well, actually, could I still make do with what I have? Yes, I got to be charging them more often because they're a little bit old, but it still works. And okay, I can add on another one. So basically, try to think outside the box and try to make do and maybe add something else or edit or alter something to make sure then you don't have to then go and buy something that you potentially can do without. So hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, so I want to know, guys, if you are going to be joining the No Buy Rebellion. I just love the name, Rebellion. I feel like a rebel, yes. But this is a quiet rebellion. This is the rebellion that's going to change how we think about everything. And I think originally it's going to be a little bit tough, I think, because it's going to be only mind playing it. But I think long term, it's going to be rather rewarding because we feel like we're going to be getting one over somebody. We're not going to be stuck in the rut of just constantly upgrading things that we don't need just to fit in, just because we're constantly told and bombarded with the adverse of the things they think we need, then the fact that we don't. So I'm all for it. So anyway, guys, please do comment down below. Do you think it's a good idea? And do you think that's gonna take off? There are loads and loads of things out there. People are like, I'm in, I'm joining. So I'm like, yes, let's give that a go. It's no time like present. And I feel somehow, I actually have like a big smile. For some reason, I feel this is like super exciting. I don't know, being part of big something, I don't know. Maybe it'll change things. I don't know. Anyway, let me know, guys, what you think down below. Don't forget, of course, thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. It is really important for me to grow this channel and make sure I do get it monetized going forward. Otherwise, well, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.